What's up, guys? It's Spills here. I apologize for the audio-video quality. I'm not necessarily set up to do a traveling podcast at the moment. Recording off my MacBook, which has a broken fan. That's what you're going to see, the buzz, and it just doesn't let me do the audio and video correctly. It starts lagging if I get anything more than 720p, so that's what I had to stick with. I also got to Jack's house at around 6:30 on Friday. I had also been drinking heavily Thursday night because I was off, and we didn't get there until later. I needed to set up the podcast immediately, and we were on time constraints because of my birthday celebration at the end in Nashville that night. So I had to do all of it in about 2.5 hours, maybe 3 hours. If I'm being completely honest, this was probably the hardest time I had doing a podcast individually, and it definitely shows in my personality on this. So I just want everyone to be aware of that. But the other three definitely killed this podcast, and I definitely want their words to reach the people. So you know what? I'm going to try my best to get this one out. Much love, Spills.
All right, y'all. Welcome back to Your House, Our Rules, my podcast. Out here in Nashville, Tennessee for the weekend. Living it up for my birthday a bit, so we're out here drinking a couple beers, getting rowdy, and, doing the damn thing.
Cheers. So
I came down here to literally... Actually, before we do that, before we get into that topic, let's introduce everyone. I know you guys remember Jack and Dalton from a previous episode, so we won't introduce them, but Chuey, go ahead and introduce yourself.
How's it going? I'm Chuey. I'm 25. I'm originally from California. Moved out here with the Army, and when I was in training... They told me you're going to Fort Campbell, Kentucky. And being a Cali boy, I'm like, fucking Kentucky? I'm like, dude, there's probably 2 teeth in the whole state,
Right.
But Fort Campbell's like an hour away, 45 minutes from Nashville.
My buddy Colin, who actually was on this podcast, was stationed at Fort Campbell.
Is that right?
Oh, anyone in Clarksville.
Yeah, anyone in Clarksville.
Yeah.
But I was so wrong about that. I met an amazing group of people, and it's been a really beautiful ride. And I've been here for like 5 years now. And I don't regret it at all.
Yeah.
Happy to have you here, man.
Yeah, happy to have you here, too. Even though I live up in Cincinnati.
Celebrity guest.
Same thing. I tell people all the time when I come down here, I'm like, I got like a second family in Nashville. Like,
and
real
California,
family and shit. But,
Ohio, Tennessee.
Yeah, but came down here for the weekend to, have a little Nashville celebration and stuff like that for my birthday. And Dalton was gracious enough to offer me some tickets to this show at the Caverns with Charles the First. And on my way down here...
R.I.P.
On my way down here, a guy sends me a screenshot of something from Facebook, and it said that Charles the First overdosed on fentanyl, and I was like, this is a pretty reliable dude. I was like, I don't think this is...
I call bullshit.
And you did call bullshit, because I sent in the group text message. I was like 30 minutes into my drive down here. And, I was like, let's see. And then I got Bailey, my friend, called me up and was like, yo, did you hear that Charles the First died? Because she knew I was coming down here, and I was like, okay, at this point, it's out, and like he's definitely done for. And you hit me up, and you're like, are you still coming down here? I'm like, yeah, bro, I'm coming down. We're gonna party. It's Gibbs' birthday this weekend, but kind of get some reactions from y'all about the Charles the First. I mean, Chewy, you're like a pretty big Charles the First fan, aren't you?
Dude, I am. Fuck.
It was your idea.
Well, you have to go to the Caverns for sure. I actually drove 16 fucking hours to go see him in Wyoming. It was earlier, it was like in spring or whatever, and it was a 2-day event. It was probably one of the most beautiful events ever. It was this little curated deal, and he brought the coolest underground dudes ever. And his sets.
Wait, where did you go? Where was it?
It was Wyoming.
Wyoming.
It's like an hour north of Denver.
And you drove from here?
Yeah, from here, bro. It's quite a minute.
How long of a drive was that?
16 hours.
16 hours?
Yeah.
Okay.
One shot.
16 hours, and you got to see Charles the First.
Charles the First and Charles the Second, because he played 2 days, both of his days.
Oh, okay. So he does like it when he plays a 2-day set or whatever. He does a Charles the Second.
No, it was just me being funny.
Oh, okay.
I was cruising around the festival, telling, "Hey, y'all ready for this Charles the Second?" No.
Well, what is it that you like so much about him?
Man, it's like it's emotional music. Like first, it's bassy, it's heavy. It's slow.
Love that.
And his melodic is so just pretty, man. It just makes you feel calm, feel good. And like he's like a pioneer of a whole subgenre. I think we were talking about that earlier. Like
yeah. I mean, I don't listen to much Charles the First. I know Sam, who's a really good friend of mine, listens to him a lot. So he always tries to put me on because he knows I have like heavy hip hop influences and stuff like that. And he's like, dude, Charles the First, who apparently does his own like hip hop vocals and stuff like that. Yeah, he has a super creative like underground fucking thing with him. I just never really resonated with his music all that much. Never really checked him out all that much either.
Well,
he's got his side project Hawk where he actually does rap on his shit.
Yeah,
that's all it is. Yeah.
Bro, honestly, like he's super inspirational to me for that reason. Outside of electronic music, because he does like he's actually like a poet. Like a lot of like the bigger producers like Of the Trees and stuff have talked about like how he writes poetry.
Yeah,
and
Of
he
the
turns
Trees
it
is
in,
actually supposed to be there too.
which is another amazing producer. But he talks about how like his poetry is really moving. Like he's actually like he's one of those people who whatever his musings are, whatever inspires him, he's able to turn it into something that's beautiful and relatable. Which honestly is what art is about. Something that relates, one feeling from one person to another. So he was incredible for that. I know the first time I saw Charles I, I had discovered him about a year before, but I saw him Electric Forest 2018. He played one of the smaller stages, really late night. I'll never forget it. I was there with Matthew Walden, Gary Walden, and Justin, my brother, and we were all just super drunk, piled against this tree, and he came out and opened up with this track, Kara, which is my favorite Charles I track, and it was just so moving, man. I'm really grateful for the times I got to see him, and for real RIP to a legend in the scene.
Yeah, a goddamn legend in the scene.
I would consider him a GOAT for sure.
Yeah, he's up there. It's very arguable.
Sad day for Nashville.
Sad. I mean, it sucks that
he.
he died here. Sad day. I mean, I think he's from originally. Maybe Lake Tahoe, something like that. I'm not sure.
Yeah,
and I think
in Nevada mountains.
And he lived, I think, in Colorado. I think he lived in Denver, I believe.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure.
And unfortunately, there's just not enough known because this happened on the car ride down here, and like I set up this podcast immediately after walking in Jack's door. So it's been 4 or 5 hours since it's been released, so we don't know all that much about it. But apparently, it was a fentanyl overdose, and it just goes down to one of those things where. It really need to be known if it was intentional or not, because I know there are some people who fucking like that shit for whatever reason or get hooked on that
That's
shit.
really hard to believe.
Or that's hard to believe. It's probably like a Mac Miller type thing.
Yeah. And it really blows my mind how one of these big dudes can happen to, because you figure like you're a huge time DJ or like any kind of celebrity, like you figure you'd get decent quality, drugs.
Yeah,
or at least have like a lot of test kits, right?
I bet a lot of it has to do with being out on the road.
That's it. To touch on that is just you're on tour, and honestly, at a certain point, you are trusting what someone else tells you, and your connections may not be what they are where else you go. Well, honestly, I think that's what it is. I mean,
with that being known, wouldn't you have a fucking box of strips at all times? Like if you know you have to just go rely on anybody across the states, like you keep a box of strips.
The funny thing is about fentanyl strips, and something that not a lot of people know, is you can test a bag and it'll test for no fentanyl because you might hit a spot where there truly is no fentanyl. Fentanyl doesn't have to be, it's such a tiny microscopic amount that could be in the bag. So you may test for no fentanyl and then hit that spot, and you don't really need much more than a grain of sand that could OD you. That is just the truth about fentanyl.
That's so weird. But then what's the point of putting in drugs if it's only
what it comes down to, honestly, is an incredible lack of moral compass by whoever it is producing these things, and it's just really sad.
Well, even economically though, because now the dealer has to buy his drugs and then also buy fentanyl, so it doesn't make sense why.
From what I understand, a lot of people use fentanyl as a way to give it an extra little kick,
pack a punch.
Yeah, to help it pack a punch. But like Jack was saying before, it's such a minuscule amount that you're actually taking that fucking you can't really dose people right, especially if you're just fucking like, have you ever seen Ozark?
Oh, great.
In
show.
Ozark, they
great
fucking they dose some shit with fentanyl, and like they fucking put it in this fucking big batch of, I think it was heroin that they had, and like it's one of those things like you're gonna drop it in there and fucking mix it up. It's like there's this much fucking heroin, there's this little fucking fentanyl, and you're mixing it up. Fucking unless you mix it really well, fucking someone could get a little bit more than they need to. So.
Speaking of that, when's the new season, Ozark?
I don't know, but apparently it's the last season, which is going to be fucking rock.
Who is Ghislaine Maxwell?
She was actually a financer for Jeffrey Epstein.
Yeah.
I don't feel like we need to really get too deep into the Jeffrey Epstein stuff. I know everyone's tired of it, but
I mean, let's give some background for people who fucking might not know who Ghislaine is, because Jeffrey Epstein is someone who everyone knows about, but fucking Ghislaine not necessarily.
Yeah, I've never even heard of her.
And well, she was his ex-wife, and like apparently heavily involved with his like pedophile island and shit like that. And apparently was like a financer and fucking helped run the operation. And if you watch the documentary that they have on Netflix about it, like they put Ghislaine in the spaceship, or they put like Jeffrey Epstein up in the fucking side of the painting within like the spaceship, and like Ghislaine is just like front and center of this chick who got raped by Jeffrey Epstein, and fucking she became an artist, and she drew like this giant picture of like. Like it was like this super like abstract type picture and shit, and it depicted all the people involved in it and stuff like that, and like Ghislaine was fucking front and center in it. So it kind of leads you to believe that maybe she was a little bit more involved with this than even fucking Jeffrey Epstein was. So the trial that we're having is pretty important because we didn't get one with Jeffrey Epstein. So now that this is happening. Yeah, I guess we'll have to find out what's going on.
Well, but hang on. The thing about it, though, like you touched on it, they speak on this. It's Jeffrey Epstein is known as like this monster, and he should be. But she was the one who was speaking to these girls, who was gaining their trust, who was manipulating them and leading them to where he was. And like she was, there's numerous reports of her. Not only manipulating the girls, but the people who worked these estates and things. Like it was very much so like you can't speak about anything that goes on there. Mm-hmm. So she was literally profiting from the immense pain and suffering that she caused on who knows how many people. And that's just like fucking. As much as I believe in humanity, that kind of shit always checks me. It's like, bro, there are these people. There are all these people who are just greedy and selfish, and they don't give a fuck the damage they do, as long as it helps them out. Mm-hmm. Disgusting. And it is disgusting. I don't know how you get that way. They do some background on her. I couldn't recall it. They do some background.
years old.
Yeah.
I mean, how long has this really been going on?
I mean, you got to.
Oh, dude, when the documentary, the people are from the 90s. Yeah. Fucking. And the thing about it is, too, no one really knew who fucking Jeffrey Epstein was unless you were like an elite person and stuff like that. Right. And fucking, it's kind of the same with Ghislaine. So,
They were party socialites. There were people that were all these high functioning social events who, rubbed elbows with the most powerful people in the world, and it became this thing where, what's your most wild fantasy? I can provide it for you for the right amount of cash. And that's just so dark. And that's like honestly the ass end of what comes from a capitalistic, selfish, greedy
it makes you question it makes you question things too. Like Alex Jones fucking talking about this shit, and everyone's just like, oh, Alex Jones is crazy. And then some shit comes out like this, and you're like, well, maybe we should listen to the dude who's talking about us being a swarm fucking species and we're fucking food for like 6-dimensional vampires and shit like that.
I mean, there's obviously a lot of bullshit there, but there's there is a lot of there is some truth, some nuggets of truth that comes from like these degrees of conspiracy theories. But you always do have to remain skeptical to some degree, and.
Well, in everything, you have to remain skeptical.
100%. You should remain skeptical without
but when the
evidence,
Clinton administration is involved.
Yeah, when there's these high profile, the royal family and the Clintons, like you said, fucking it's all involved.
Everybody, I hear all week.
Well, it's not able to be proven that they were involved, but they've been like pictured with fucking Epstein and stuff like that.
Right. So, and everyone's mad it's not being publicized. So I know you don't watch the news, but like, let it be any racial dispute, and it's going to be all over every news channel you have, but something so big as this just is going to get so up under the rug, unfortunately.
Well, that's what comes with the fact that all our major news outlets are run and funded by the most powerful people in the world, so they do dictate what gets put in our faces. And
bipartisan too. A lot.
When we're ready, I want to do a terrible Your House Our Rules segue into something that's relatable to this.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
You said something about the island, and I've heard about the island. Have they proven that the island is an actual real thing?
For sure. It's in the Virgin Islands where they took people. It's 100% a real thing. And there's flight records with names on it. So
some of the people testifying during this trial this week, one of the people was saying, I think it was New Mexico. There's a ranch in New Mexico. I mean, just in the middle of nowhere. So there's no telling how many times.
Okay. So I remembered something about the trial now that you say that or whatever. A lot of the thing that they're having in the trial is a lot of those girls that they were grooming and stuff like that.
Testifying.
They came from backgrounds that were like entertainment industry and stuff like that. And I remember they were talking about like the lawyers really testing this one witness about it. Like, are you telling the truth right now or are you just acting? Because she's a famous actor right now.
Sure.
They referred to her as Jane in the manuscript or whatever because she's like an actual like well-known actress.
Interesting.
And so they're not using her real name.
That kind of makes me think like if they're in the entertainment industry, that could be very easily manipulated. Like, we have money, we can make you big.
That's what they did. Yeah, and it's come out that they used these people in like Miami and stuff like that, and they were going to like camps and stuff where all these like young aspiring singers would go and stuff like that, and that's where they were praying. That was like their program and shit like that.
Which is similar to the Harvey Weinstein thing. It's the same thing. It's you get these big powerful people who, here's your big break. Like it's the whole fucking. I'll give you like the casting couch thing. Here's your chance. What are you willing to do?
That's exactly what it is, man.
Yeah, and it's terrible, but that is the state of it. Like fucking, it's literally.
Apparently, that shit happens in LA all the fucking time. Bro.
I would imagine
podcasts of people who have been like, there's these well-known chicks that have fucked their way to the top.
Right.
Like, yeah.
I'll never
it's fucking what you're willing to do, and doing that to a young, impressionable mind, and being an intelligent person who's fucking trying to prey on this person makes for a fucking real fucked up combination.
Excuse my ignorance. So how young are we talking here?
They weren't like kids. They were 15, like teenagers,
16.
like 14, 15.
Yeah, it depends on who we're talking about, and there's definitely varying ages, and I mean all of it's just it's incredibly.
There could have been shit going on that fucking we don't even know about, but
right.
The ones that have stepped forward have generally been like from the 14 to 16 years.
Which honestly, like, it makes you really think about like the parents as well, because you have parents who are knowingly putting their children in this position because they probably understand that it'll lead to some kind of financial benefit. Which is interesting. I mean, being a parent and understanding, I mean, I know I would like more money, but there is literally nothing I would do to put my son through something that would cause him trauma or harm for financial gain on my end. So I don't even understand that. But people are different. People.
So
I think a lot of that is people like maybe not necessarily having the proof that it's happening and kind of turning
it's like a willing blind eye.
Yeah,
it's a willing blind eye.
I think a lot of it's coming that
you don't know, so right.
Yeah, and we don't. I don't know what it's like to be one of these girls who has been traumatized like that or something like that. Maybe they won't go up and fucking tell them that this is happening and shit like that. Maybe they just think that this is a kind fucking old man who's fucking got a lot of money trying to fucking get a young aspiring artist to fame.
Sure.
So, I mean, the shit happens in the fucking industry, and fucking what happened with the Epstein case and shit like that is it fucking got unveiled and at the highest level.
I have a question for you. So you said you wouldn't do anything to traumatize your son. Would you do anything to traumatize yourself for it?
Good question.
Like if I were to get like financially benefit from it.
Yes.
Oh yeah, I mean I'm a grown man, so
that
would be different.
Sure.
That would be different. Like I've always made the joke.
I'd suck a dick for a crack rock and super class.
Is that what you want to hear him say?
Hang on. What is it? Fucking bands will make her dance. Like I always made the joke. Like, well, fuck yeah, bands will make me dance. Someone throw 1,000. I've actually weird thing. I've
back it up and dump it.
I've actually been a male stripper before. I made good money doing it. I'm not ashamed of that. But I'm a grown man. I can make that decision. So the difference is
good money is $500.
If you're making that decision for another person who can't properly weigh the possible traumatic effects, I think that's the line where it needs to be drawn. But absolutely, I do believe you guys know I'm friends with a lot of sex workers. I support if they can make the proper cognitive decision to do certain things that are going to benefit them, then absolutely.
So the next step down that question would be, would you have done it at 16?
No.
Well, that comes into the point that he touched on you not necessarily being cognizant yet of what you're doing and not doing that because
right. And if we're gonna talk about that, was I intelligent and mature for a 16-year-old? Absolutely. Was my frontal lobe fully developed and could I actually reason out what those effects would be? No. And I think that's where you draw the line, and that's what our society tries to do. We don't do a great job. But that's what we try to do by setting limits and expecting people to respect those limits, but they just don't.
Everyone grows at their own age. Like
Absolutely.
Taylor, your sister, fucking grew up way too fucking old.
Dude,
and fucking you're talking to us like fucking a grown woman for most of our entire lives. But it's one of those things where, like, when you think about it, they make the 18-year-old find a kind of draw off. And some people might need more time than other people.
Definitely.
And
I met those people.
It's one of those things where you kind of just allow that one to happen because, like, I know fucking me now, me myself at 24, me myself at 21, me myself at 18, and I was so stupid.
Right.
At all of those ages.
Yeah.
And it just progressively got smarter and smarter, and I still don't know shit.
Right. Still don't.
Yeah.
I'm a smart 34-year-old. I'm still dumb as fuck. I still make really stupid decisions. Every time I correct my son, and I really get on to him, after we settle down, I always tell him, like, hey, just so you know, I'm proud of you. You're doing good, and you're going to always make mistakes. And I always tell him after that, I'm like, just so you know, because he looks up to me like he thinks I'm just like this superhero. He's like, you know, he always tells me, Daddy, you're so smart. I'm like, yeah, I am. And I still make real dumb mistakes all the fucking time, dude. I'm still learning, still growing, and that's the way any decent human being should be, honestly, is they should always continue to grow.
Yeah, and that's what it is with the failure. I've taken every failure in my life as a learning experience.
Absolutely.
I'm okay with failing.
So I want to go and pause it there. The last time you've been on here is what, 6 months, right, guys?
Yeah, something like that.
Big things have happened in the past 6 months.
Sure.
Jack, you want to tell us about maybe your coaching experience, new job? I got a new job.
Yeah, well,
Chuey's got a lot going on. It's been a big 6 months. So, you know, the Maxwell case, I think we all know is fucked, right?
Right.
Yeah.
We're not hearing what we want to hear. We're not seeing what we want to hear.
Right. Which is a shame.
Keith likes to talk about things that's going on right now, but that's a messy situation.
Yeah. And it's still a fucking trial that is unfolding. So. Yeah. We'll get back to that a little bit more. I need to do a little bit more research. I will admit that I put this one as a topic, and fucking I just haven't had time to look into it.
We'll never really know
needed to
until several years from now, unfortunately.
Shit, we might even not even know.
Yeah, probably never.
We might not even know then.
Right.
Yeah.
But big things are coming. We're at the end of the year. You haven't been on here in 6 months. What have you been up to, man?
Well, one of my biggest accomplishments, Wubs by the Waterfall happened. It almost went off without a hitch, and it was a beautiful experience. Anybody who wasn't there who sees this podcast, you should definitely give heavy consideration into coming for the 2022 iteration.
For sure.
Because it is going to be very
Junebug
special.
Ranch.
Yep, Junebug Ranch down here in Cookeville, Tennessee. The tickets it's a great venue. The tickets are super cheap comparably to basically any other festival you're going to go to for 3 days. We have a lot of things that other people don't offer. Another thing that happened is, as he mentioned, I started coaching my son's flag football team. Incredibly rewarding.
So awesome.
Just dealing with kids, dealing with my son in a very social setting, seeing these kids grow. One of the things I said to them, our last game was last Sunday, and we went 1-5, so not ideal, but I was very proud of them. Right. Well, one of the things I said to them, you know, because they were all disappointed because we lost a couple games at the end of the year right in a row. And they were a little sad, but I told them, I was like, guys, think about our first practice. And this was important to me, I was trying to make sure I articulated it well. Remember our first practice when no one knew what a slant route was, when you could hardly throw a perfect spiral, when you could, all these things you couldn't do, and now you do them just off muscle memory. I said, that right there is growth. That's something you should be proud of, and that's something to build on. And I think, I really do respect the position I had to coach young minds. Dude. I think they all handled it well. So
it's honestly like a bucket list of mine.
Yeah.
To fucking coach my son's basketball team, just like my dad did for me back in the day.
Yeah. Such a cool thing,
wrestling. It was honestly a beautiful. I went to go see one of the games, and it was such a close game. Everyone on both sidelines were so pumped.
I'll tell you what, though. I remember I have a niece. My niece's name is Reese, and I remember going to one of her fucking. I remember going to one of her basketball games when she was in 3rd grade. I gotta tell y'all, it was one of the most awful things I've ever done.
Yeah, no.
But where are you getting?
The final score was 3-2.
Soccer score.
Right,
yes,
dude.
right.
Yeah, bro. I'll tell you what. In Cincinnati, my dad used to get the newspaper and read it all the time, and he would always fucking be looking at the sports, the high school sports fucking scores and shit like that. And he would pull up these fucking women's basketball games from around there, and it was 4-86. It was like, what is going on in women's basketball in high school?
They had a Michael Jordan, is what happened. Yeah. But before we get off the subject, one big thing I want to give you props on. I heard you tell this to your boy, you guys in the huddle. He said daddy, and you're like, no, I'm not daddy right now. I'm coach.
Coach, dude.
I'm coach.
No, I love every time.
Bro.
Every once in a while he would forget, but then the rest of the game he'd be like, Coach, I love that. Yeah.
And then another thing is the first player that got like on the sidelines, somebody could come in was your son. Like, and that's respectable. Not like I'm the coach. My son's gonna play.
Right.
Daddy ball. Don't play daddy ball.
No, for sure. You can't be nepotistic. And I also, honestly, I punished Jack 3 times during the season because he would get a little whiny. And I told him straight up, I said, look, I'm not going to tolerate this. We're not going to tolerate this.
He's going to have the hardest run out of
No,
all.
he will. I try not to be, like, reverse nepotistic, but also, like, I will not accept that on the
I will
field.
be fucking reverse nepotistic.
No, I won't accept it. I told him straight up. I said, look, buddy, like, it's not always going to be easy. There's going to be times you get hurt. But I damn sure am not going to give you a break. Just like I wouldn't give any, and that's what a coach should do. I want to drive you. I want to push you. Right. I actually had I had 2 girls on my roster. I was the only team in a league of 8 that had any girls, and somehow I ended up with both of them. But they were both a blessing. No, they were both a blessing. One of them though was incredibly shy, and this last practice before our game, she had a rough time all season. She came a long way. But this last practice before our game, she started breaking down because she just kept getting. I was putting her against different people, and she kept getting burnt on routes, right? Mm-hmm. And eventually, she's just standing there, and I was like, "Tessa, what's wrong?" And she wouldn't talk to me, right? So her name was Tessa. Tessa.
Cool.
So I went up to her and I said, "Tessa," I said, "come over here. Let me talk to you in private." So I kneeled down, and I could tell she was about to cry. So I told her this story of mine when I was a junior at Cheatham County, where I forgot to bring my jersey for a game one day, and Coach Finley would not put up with that shit. First thing he did when he found out I didn't bring my jersey for game day is he made me run stadiums for a full hour. Bro, it was like freezing cold outside. It was miserable. I cried the whole time. Like, I literally was in full tears just pushing through it. And I told her that. I said, look, I was a strong 17-year-old boy, and I cried. And the whole point was, I said, look, it's okay to feel these emotions. It doesn't make you any less tough or strong. I said, you cry right now and know that I'm not going to be any less proud of you. So let's go over and talk to your mom. You cried, and then you come back in. She cried and came back, practiced the rest of the day, and had a really good game. Like, one of the best games she had. She was confident. She tried hard. She doesn't make a lot of plays, but that's growth. It gives her confidence, and that should be what I think.
Confidence is key, bro.
Confidence is key, and confidence makes you king. It's the only thing that separates you from the people who don't have it. Like, you have to be able to believe in yourself to achieve anything worth doing.
For sure. Yeah.
1 in 5 is rough. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and act like that's cool, bro.
Right. It was tough.
So, you got a lot of growth here. I'm going to be the first one to say it.
Right.
But I'm a big advocate, and you learn so much more from losing.
Yeah,
I know it's shitty, and it's hard to say to, like, little kids.
Right.
But, man, that's so big, man. I'm so proud of you. That's good.
Well, cool.
I was talking to Chuey earlier about this, and, yeah, I know this is your show, but I'm coming at you now.
Nah, bro. Fucking go for it.
Why podcast? What made you want to do a podcast?
I've talked about it before, man. The reason why we started the podcast was because me, Max, and Alex, who are all really good friends, just fucking had some very good conversations. And we were like, you know what? We should just record this because, fucking podcasts are popping off and shit like that. Fucking, I think that we say shit to each other that's entertaining. And that we could end up making a little bit something out of that.
Yeah.
So we fiddled with the idea for a while, and one day came up where I was just like, you know what, fuck it, we're doing this. All right, who wants to throw down on these mics and this interface so we can start recording this fucking podcast? And they're like, fuck it, threw me money, so I went ahead and do it. I've been one of those people who I'm a talker. I mean, y'all know this.
Hell yeah.
I'm a talker. And
Never.
We're going to
and
this
the shit talker.
Yeah, big shit talker too. We're going to this show later on tonight. Fucking, we're gonna go and we're gonna party and shit like that. But that's not my element. My element is like after the fucking bar, after the fucking show,
Love that.
when we're just
Love
chilling
that.
and
At the
fucking.
campsite.
That's when I'm in my vibe, bro.
Yeah.
That's when I'm at my fucking best, dude. At fucking remember Bucket of Crabs, like the first Wubs, even though it technically wasn't a Wubs. It was for Jack's birthday or whatever. I remember we were laying on this tarp, and I was like, yo, they came out and they're like, yo, let's move it down here by the fire or whatever. We're trying to keep it down a little bit. And I was like, okay. Let me just Alibaba this fucking tarp over here. And I kept telling people that I flew it from down there, down like magic carpet style, and shit like that. And I was absolutely on one. It was like 7 in the fucking morning or some shit like that. Like after everything was already over, we were just sitting around the fire, and like it was one of those moments where like I was sitting there talking, I looked around, I was like, damn, like why is everyone listening to me right now? It was ignorant shit.
Such a gift.
Ignorant shit.
Well, dude, it's because you're very entertaining. It's always fun. And what I really love is when you get somebody that can match your energy.
Yeah, like Jack.
I like Jack, yeah.
Yeah, when me and Jack get together, it's going to go one of two ways. It's either going to be really good or really bad. Because, like, as much as we love each other, we get on each other's fucking nerves, bro.
Oh, it's like a perfect storm. As soon as I found out I was getting you guys here this weekend, I was like, oh, I'm not missing this for anything.
Oh, no, for sure.
Oh, well, that's why I came to Nashville. Like, we found out what happened, and the show was definitely canceled. And Homeboy, he actually called me. He was like, hey, but are you coming to the podcast? Like, what the fuck are you talking about? He's like, dude, Keith is coming to Jack's house and doing a podcast. I'm like, well, I'm not going to miss an opportunity to come see Keith.
No, for sure, bro.
There's no
I love
way.
the respect that I get down here, man. Fucking up in Cincinnati. I was actually talking to my friend Max last weekend. I was like, we were sitting there. His brother's back in town. It was the first time I'd seen his brother. He just got out of the Marines, and dude, they were just capping on me all fucking night, or all fucking day, because we started day drinking. It was like fucking 10, 11 in the morning or something.
Perfect.
Yeah, fucking. Well, that's me, Chris, and fucking Max, dude. We just get together, sit on a stoop, drink, get fucked up, and talk.
Talk shit to each other.
Why I did the podcast or whatever. But he was just fucking grilling me all night, as Chris always does and shit like that. And fucking, I told Max, I was like, damn, man, like, I'm chilling with these newer, younger kids and shit, a little bit more in the fucking electronic community, because, like, Max and Chris are my old friends or whatever. I'm like the dad of that group. I get respect and shit. I was like, y'all don't give me no damn respect.
You're not a kid anymore. You've been a kid, but how old are you now, today?
I'm, on the 15th, I'll be turning 28.
Okay, yeah, that's you're in the wrong end of your 20s. So, yeah.
It fucking sucks,
Yeah.
dude. I can't stand it.
No,
Okay.
bro.
I know, and there's so much more to learn.
Honestly, bro, the 30s have been my favorite. I had a lot of fun in my 20s. I mean, it does suck. Like, some things, like, you know, I deal with, like you were talking about earlier, like, I have that old football body, got some aches and pains. Bro, the 30s, bro, just gaining wisdom, having just a little bit more control over my thoughts and emotions. And I'm obviously blessed with a platform where I can make an impact, bro. I loved it. I've loved it so far. There's been ups and downs, absolutely. But, yeah, man, 30s have been dope. I think it's going to be cool. I'm getting a little bit of gray hairs. Bro, I'm down for it.
Embrace it.
I'm ready to rock it, bro.
I like the idea of growing. Bobby, I'm on your side, brother. Since I turned 18, the next year I was like, I don't want any more birthday. I don't even celebrate my birthday anymore.
Right, bro? After your fucking... for me, it was the 21st birthday. Yeah. But after that, it's like, who gives a fuck anymore? Just slow down. Stop. Yeah.
Oh, no. I can always speed up, brother. I'm trying to get somewhere. I'll tell you that.
For me, it was like the day after I turned 30. Literally, like, I pulled my groin, like... Dude, my back still hasn't stopped hurting. I don't know. It was like on
happy birthday, motherfucker!
It's a thing, bro.
I mean, I'm late 20s right now, and I feel like that preset fucking 30s shit, where like shit's not fucking working the same way. Fucking shit hurts a little bit more. Fucking, I can't bounce back quite the same as I used to.
Bouncing back does take a little bit more time.
God, I used to be able to just
it's the recovery.
go hard.
It's the recovery time.
Oh, like me?
Yeah, you'll get there. Don't worry, young Chew. No, for sure, though. It is a thing, though. I mean, like, you want to talk about, and I mean no disrespect to anybody, but I have been partying for a long time.
Yeah.
And I've been able to push my body to some crazy things. I definitely know my limits now. But honestly, the thing that really rings true as far as just trying to remain young is, bro, stretch.
I was going to say that. Stretch.
Yeah. Stretch and listen to your fucking body. Like, there is a such thing as working out a soreness, walking it off, as they say.
Yeah.
But listen to your body. Be mindful. When you have aches and pains, be mindful. Give yourself some time to recover, because your body sends these signals for a reason. When there's pain, it's for a reason. Listen to your fucking body.
Yeah.
Trust that shit, man.
That's what my doctor's been telling me, and I try to say to everyone.
Right.
Even if it's just like the smallest little thing in your shoulder,
right,
your neck, and of course, you are what you eat. I mean, I literally was sore from eating like shitty. I don't even know that's possible, but you can actually be sore from eating.
Absolutely.
McDonald's.
Nutrient deficient, everything. Yeah, 100%. It affects your bowels, everything.
I don't know. I have decent genetics, but I eat whatever the fuck I want to, whenever. Dude.
Yeah, and that's been me my entire life, but...
The storm's coming.
Yeah, the storm's coming.
Yeah, Midwest is about ready to get hit with some wild storms.
Bring it on.
Yeah, so I'm from
Dude, I love
Clarksville,
storms.
and we had like 5 tornado warnings come up on my phone.
We'll go out the front door because we don't want anything with it open all night. They'll fuck up our shit.
It's about to go down.
Oh, crap.
Hey, for real, if we all die in a tornado tonight, this is our last message
I'm
to
not
the
dying
people.
for shit.
Whatever, Chew. You can't fuck with Mother Nature. You better respect her.
I remember when I felt that way, dude.
Right.
Man, you ain't killing me.
Now I'm like, oh shit, you can die. Lose a couple friends, fucking get a little bit older.
Nah,
Yeah.
Hey,
the only way I'm
Life
dying.
gets put into perspective that way.
Oh, yeah, I'm going. There ain't no way I'm dying.
Yo,
So that's Suicide Boy style, bro.
Oh, God.
That's the only way.
one thing I just thought of before we were already way off topic, but really great segue. We were talking about Ghislaine Maxwell earlier. If anybody has watched Dope Sick on Hulu, that show has fucked me up. I just want to briefly talk about how incredibly important it is to put what's important or what's it's very important to put people over profits, I guess is the main point here. Don't let greed overcome your moral compass. Don't let the desire to achieve your dreams be a reason to step on people. If anyone's not familiar with that show, I'm not going to dive into it. You should watch it. But basically, it's about Big Pharma and how they vastly manipulated an entire generation of people into opioid addiction for a number of people. No, it's incredible.
No, dude, we can get to talking about Big Pharma all day on this podcast, bro. It's some of the most ridiculous.
It's so fucked, and it literally it goes so deep into how the FDA and the government were just paid off. Just people who were like, yeah, I'll take the big check and I'll overlook these things, and it's so devastating because you're talking about millions of people who have died or who suffer through addiction. Lives are lost for other people to just literally gain.
Right. So
And
I just
that
found
is-
this. It says 3 to 19% of opioid users or prescription users become addicted.
Yeah, no,
it's
it's
fucking opiates.
Yeah.
Bro. Like,
well, but
they're-
the show talks about like what really gets you is how far they went to pull the veil to make people think that what they were selling, OxyContin, is the focus. That it was not addictive. They literally went so far to make people trust their doctors. The sales reps went so far to make the doctors believe that they were giving their patients a miracle drug. Yeah. And it created an epidemic that was actually hugely felt in the Midwest. In Cincinnati,
one of the
it's like
everywhere.
everywhere.
Dayton's literally the worst, and
Yeah.
Cincinnati's in the top 5 too.
Both-
Ohio, the opiate epidemic runs rampant.
Right.
But I think
And
that's
both-
more heroin, though.
No,
That's not
it's the same
prescription.
thing. But
Opiates, they're
But
both
I
opiates.
understand that.
the thing they talk about is how it led to that. Like a lot of people who were on OxyContin
Fentanyl's
switched
an
to.
opiate too, like we're talking about
Yes.
before with
Yes.
Charles first. Yeah.
But a lot of people who were on OxyContin for prescription reasons, like so say for example, my father, he's a mason, so he's earned his living as a construction worker, very good at what he does. He's actually what you consider an artist. He's so well sought after that people pay him great money to come do their brickwork, right? But you would imagine that that's going to put a lot of strain on your body.
Of course.
He was prescribed opiates. I don't know the exact age, probably in his early 30s. I was definitely a teenager down here in Tennessee, but opiate addiction took him over and it changed him. And they talked about it in the show, like it literally rewires your brain. Like it's a complete frontal lobe. It's a difference in how you think about things, and it takes. I think they say, as far as I understand, the scientific numbers are, you have to be clean for over 2 years for your brain to actually heal and recover. But that amount of time to be able to do that without giving in to a relapse is so incredibly tough to go through.
Brother, I can speak on that. In high school, I got strongly addicted to Vicodin. Actually, I went to rehab for this thing here. I would take anything and every money I could find.
Right.
What was going to Vicodins.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And I'll tell you this: the 2-year thing is probably true as to where like you're not gonna like snap. But dog, that was so many years ago, probably 8 years ago now, and I still to this day would fucking love a bottle of Vicodin. That would be
Right.
fantastic, dude.
Right, it never leaves you.
It
never
doesn't.
leaves you. It never leaves you. It's just a thing. It's what they call chasing the dragon. That
Yeah, it
certain
is.
high that you can never quite achieve, but you always want it. And that's what's dangerous about the game that you play. Anybody who dabbles in even alcohol, any drug.
I mean,
it's like,
I was going to dive into that a little bit too. Alcohol is legal and it kills more people than fucking every other drug.
Oh, dude, it's a poison.
And like we can all sit here and act like fucking we don't understand what drug addiction is, but fucking if you're drinking alcohol, you're drinking a drug.
Right.
And fucking how many of y'all can say that you can put down fucking drinking right now?
even
No, I can't.
Even pull away from that.
No, I can't.
One more step: coffee and caffeine. It's the same fucking thing. But it's not as there's less of a stigma.
Well, there's
so
less of
people
a
look at it.
fucking
Repercussions.
repercussion.
Sure.
So yeah.
Well, that's because it's socially acceptable, which gets into the fact that, I mean, we have some things that our government just says are okay, so we go with them.
And then you got the whole weed fucking scenario and shit like that, where like it's impossible to fucking overdose on weed.
Right.
And fucking
Challenge
that shit's made
accepted.
illegal. It goes back into the fucking whole big pharma thing. That like the reason why marijuana was made illegal back in the day, I think it was like the 30s or something like that, was because loggers didn't want to fucking keep up with the growing fucking hemp industry, so they made marijuana illegal so that they
There was a capitalistic reason. There was,
Right.
and that's honestly as sad as it is. When you study history, especially in a political sense, is it all comes back to who had more money to influence things at the time, and that's why we are where we are. I mean, fucking, we're coming in this age of green energy and electric vehicles. That's not a new idea. Electric vehicles.
Well, shit, Tesla did it way back when. We're not green, but like Tesla did like.
Right. I mean, there's examples of it throughout the 20th century in the early 1900s who were doing things. Tesla's idea was to give the world free, clean energy, and I mean, Edison and the powers that be fought against that, and that's just what it was.
The thing is, it could still work.
Oh, 100% it could.
Crazy.
But it's just not profitable, so people don't do it. And the people that are in power lobby against it, and they control everything. So it's just what it is. And we're in a state now where it's basically ride it out, and we see if it's going to capsize. And if it capsizes, what will come of it? Obviously, we don't want it to capsize because there will probably be a lot of suffering from that as well. But that might be the best way to make a new path forward.
Before we get off the subject, I did Google about the caffeine. 75% of people that use caffeine are addicted.
It's a very addictive thing.
I've been drinking coffee. I tried coffee when I was at Allied Window like halfway through, so like 2-3 years ago, and now I drink it almost daily.
Yeah.
Not on the weekends though. Only when I'm at work.
Well,
extremely
the thing about coffee is not only is it it's something that like relates especially to like the middle and lower class. Like not only is it addictive and helps to get you going in the morning, but it curbs your appetite. So you have a lot of people who are stuck in a routine who are overweight, right? So they use coffee as an abusive thing to curb their appetite.
But it can also be used beneficially. Just want to touch on that. I used to use it with intermittent fasting when I was doing that and shit like that.
Yeah.
Like I would schedule my days around fucking eating in the middle of my like day.
Right.
And then because when you sleep, I wake up in the morning. I'm not hungry when I wake up in the morning. So what I would do is schedule my fucking sleep cycle right in between the 2 periods of day that I wouldn't fucking eat, and then I would eat for those 6 hours or whatever.
Yeah.
And I would use coffee in the morning to kind of curb
to help curb it. Yeah, for sure. And that also touches on, I mean, this is an ancient philosophical point. I mean, we're going back to Aristotle, who says everything in moderation can be good, because it can be, if you do it in moderation. The problem is we're all human, we're all fallible, and we have a very hard time remaining in that balance. And that comes with, I mean, think about like all the things we have to do on a day-to-day basis. We have so many things that we're doing that we're worrying about. How often can we actually sit within ourselves and worry about our mental health? It does not happen often.
Not enough. No.
It doesn't happen often. It doesn't happen often. There's nothing to gain societally from that. So, well, I mean, actually there is, but the people, unfortunately, that hold the power, they don't gain from that. So, that's why we have the 40-hour mandatory work week and 5-day work week. Things are trying to shift, but we are stuck in this thing where we are literally subjugating the middle and lower class because it benefits the people at the top, and that's just the way it is. I mean, people argue against it. which is funny because it's usually people who are also struggling with it. But it is what it is.
Yeah, man. It's a crazy world that we fucking live in, especially when it comes to bullshit like that, man. Fucking.
But well, you say the crazy of the world, like the world, it's never been better. People, right?
That's a good point too. It's been pretty tragic in a lot of times.
Like
pretty fucked up.
Almost everything leading up to now, and now, we're finding a comfortable spot with this medium you're talking about, or like it could definitely be better,
right?
If we think about it, a century ago and 80 years ago, we were at fucking complete war, like the entire world.
Everyone,
fucking at war and shit like that. So fucking living where we're at now, where they fucking they have not had a declaration of war since I think it was the Korean War or whatever, where we live in these fucking conflicts and stuff like that.
Conflicts, yeah.
I mean, you can say whatever you want. I know you're a military guy and you might not want to get into this shit.
Well, that's fine. I like to talk about it.
Well, a lot of the shit that I was saying this to my buddies the other day. I was like, the military definitely does institute things in young people, and it is a form of brainwashing and stuff like that. But
it's called indoctrination.
But at the same time, that is completely necessary to keep our lives right now fucking the way that they are.
How it is. And me and Jack had a conversation at a festival about this indoctrination. He's kind of taking a stance against it, but the thing is I know so many people, and myself included, that were going down the fucking drain. Like, it was death or prison, period. Mm-hmm. And the army has saved us. And whether they indoctrinate us or not, because
a lot of those people who are in those situations or whatever, they probably did not have the discipline in their lives, in their early lives, that the fucking military will offer them. And the military does a good job of breaking you down and building you back up and molding you into what you need to be a premier soldier.
100%. That was my favorite thing about the military that I'm so appreciative of. I had zero self-control and zero fucking discipline. And now, I'm probably one of the more disciplined people
That's awesome.
that you know.
No, yeah, for sure. You have your ebbs and flows, but you absolutely are. You take care of yourself, and that's taught you that.
100%.
Yeah.
So, and then, like, about the whole, like, conflicts thing, I don't know if I'm pretty sure I can say this. I don't think that necessarily we fight for Americans. We do in the long run. We fight for Americans.
It's all profit.
Yeah, it's for our benefit.
I mean, if y'all want to talk about, like,
just let the man talk. Let the man talk.
Well, yeah,
true. Sorry.
So sure, it is for benefit of us, 100%, everything we do. But a lot of people can see the negative part, like, oh, like, this is all you're doing, and it's all for profit. But at the same time, they haven't actually been there to the places we are and see the difference we're making in these people's lives.
True.
Right? So we pulled out of Afghanistan. Did you see what the fuck happened to them? Mm-hmm. Like, a month after pulling out, not even?
It was the day of, bro. Al-Qaeda.
It was crazy.
Yeah.
So, like, people want to try to tell me, and, like, we're out there fighting for humanity at the very least, and if we benefit from it, I mean, you can have different opinions, but at least we're fighting for humanity and saving people's lives.
I mean, but at the same time, the United States government is probably benefiting off leaving all the weapons and fucking all that shit to Al-Qaeda when they left and stuff like that.
Well, also, I don't want to get too deep into this, but, like, if you're going to talk about the Middle East and our impact on it, you have to go way back to, like, the 70s and late 60s, where we literally were uprooting their leadership to benefit us. It's a generational impact now. Yeah. You can't blame the counterculture for the way they feel about us for the impact we've had on them. You just can't. You just can't.
Well, I don't.
You just can't. Like, it is what it is. But
I mean, and they're over there. They're third world countries and stuff like that, and they don't necessarily have the fucking systems built into them to make them what they need to be. And we come over and we give them all this stuff, and then one day we just pull the fuck out and expect them to be able to fucking deal with that shit. Like, there's a reason why the fucking the Middle East has been at war for thousands of fucking years. There's a reason why that happens. To think that we can go in to fucking Afghanistan and fucking make a change, it's kind of ridiculous. Well, and I mean, if you want to talk about, like, how we profited from that, it would be because 90% of the world's heroin trade comes out of the country of Afghanistan. Illegal heroin trade.
So I can't speak to the economic thing about it. But I will tell you this: while we were there, Kabul is their their capital.
Yeah.
Okay. And while we were there, Kabul was considered to all Afghanis is the safe place to be, and then for that reason, it's one of the highest growing cities in the world because it was considered the safe haven. Like you can go there and not worry about who's going to come, and kill your family.
Yeah.
Essentially.
And it fell within that.
Within that, so I really can't speak on the economic value, but I can at least speak on like the humanity.
Yeah, I mean,
value.
that is one thing that I will say about it. Like, I mean, is our government profiting from it? Sure. But are we making differences where we go to? Sure.
Well, when we had the war in Ukraine, we settled that problem. After that, they've been fighting.
Ukraine and Russia?
Okay, well, now that's a very recent topic. But when it was back in the 90s...
That's been going on for a while, dude, because I remember fucking Russia was moving fucking troops to them, how long was it, like 5 years back or some shit?
Yeah, bro, but
it's been going on for a while.
They weren't invading. And that's a weird situation. I'm kind of worried about that situation myself.
Well, I mean, that's been one thing that's fucking worried me for fucking pretty much my entire life. Fucking... Everyone likes to think that the United States is like this untouchable fucking... empire and shit like that because we spend twice as much as the next 9 fucking military forces behind us and shit on fucking arming ourselves. But like, you have to take a look at like Russia. They own the most nukes out of any fucking country. And fucking, you look at the terrain that they live in, it's fucking, a lot of it's like Iceland, it's stretched out, it's mountainous, it's fucking very hard to fight on and shit like that.
Nobody goes there.
They're a fucking powerhouse too.
You lose.
They're trained, their soldiers are arguably as trained, if not more trained than ours. And it's like, we've been at war with them forever.
And they're actually incredibly, like, more indoctrinated than we are. Like, Mother Russia is a real beat-in thing there.
100%.
And also, like, even outside of Russia, they're not, like, even the biggest, like...
Well,
China, bro. China. Like, China is leaps and bounds technologically more... Like, they're becoming more military advanced than we are. And, like, it's a scary thing because...
And it is actively known that fucking like Russian and fucking Chinese like hackers and shit are purposely breaking into fucking like.
Well, the thing is like, okay, so imagine you're the big bully on the block, and this is something I've been talking about for years, right? So you're the person who dictates what happens because you're the biggest and strongest. So what happens when that bully slips, right? What happens when they have a moment of weakness? You have these allies, as we have them, right? But when you have this moment of weakness, what's to say that the other people who are against you don't call on these so-called allies and be like, hey, look, this is your chance to not be the little brother?
It's because of the UN.
Right.
And it's because the UN is generally entirely controlled by the United States. Like, we fund so much of the entire European military also. A lot of people don't know that.
We fund these things, but we have the fiat currency that is falling in a global economy. No, we have a fiat currency that is falling in a global economy. Our dollar means very little compared to what it did in the 90s especially.
We haven't been on the gold standard for a minute. No. Our fucking money is based on fucking what the government tells us its value.
Literally, like we're in incredible debt to so many others. It's just like that whole we're funding thing is becoming it's becoming less and less important because I mean I don't know. It's just
why I said that was because you brought up the point, like, people think that America is just like it's an indomitable, thing.
But I mean, we are. Let's not get that fucking fucked up. We are. We're top dog when it comes.
Also have like half the world on our side as well. So it's not just like America
on our side though. Like, that's what I'm saying about on our side is like they're only on our side because it behooves them to be on our side. Right. Do they really actually want to be on our side, or does it just benefit them to be like, oh yeah, we got your back?
Yeah, they do. When that we send they're third world countries and they're second world countries.
Sure. But what happens if let's just say for like a complete hypothetical that something were to happen, like an actual launch or an attack on American ground where we showed weakness, where we were having to respond? What do you actually believe that these people would have our back or not? be like, oh, this is our chance to topple the one, right? And that's what I'm saying by that. That's what I'm saying by that.
I think we've viewed these things in the past with our fucking relationships with some of these countries. Yeah, these bonds have been made over fucking over
I don't know.
a long time.
Okay, think about. Wait, hang on.
It all comes down to benefit. It does.
Sure.
And if it does benefit them to fucking not support us, but that's what we do. We fucking we're even though we are trillions of dollars in debt, we still fucking hold the most fucking power in this world right now because of our military.
Militaristically, for sure.
Yes.
But that is quickly shifting.
Yeah.
That's quickly shifting. Shifting.
It can be argued.
We are becoming less and less welcome in many places.
Yeah.
Many places. And it's like, I mean, honest, and I'm not for any of it, but for example,
but
like,
at the same time, you can say that about Russia and China.
No, absolutely. Well, like, okay, say for example, like China's the perfect example. Like,
China breaks fucking UN Treaty of Versailles shit all the time, bro.
But they're literally doing something completely different, and they're growing exponentially from it. They're subjugating their people for it. I'm not happy about it. Like, it sucks. Like, there are people there. They have a lower class who literally like. I mean, everything about their lives is very dictated. It's very dictated.
China and look at like apparently they have a problem at like their Apple manufacturing plants and shit like that, where they have to put like nets up around the building because these people are working in sweatshops 14 hours a day, living in a cubicle with fucking three other people, give them absolutely nothing, working for $1 a day.
They
so
dictate everything.
All the time.
They dictate everything. They dictate how many kids they get. Everything.
All right.
They are making incredible strides for it.
Okay,
like, it sucks.
We can talk about China for years. We get it. Let's bring it back around.
All right.
Slow it down real quick.
We should actually get off the political concept.
So,
we'll talk about this forever.
Okay.
I'm down with it,
I don't know. I'll bring it back to this. So you guys know Michael Strahan, NFL player, whatever.
That was a sweet segue.
Bro, I love it though.
They're sending this man to space, y'all.
Strahan's going to space?
Yeah, tomorrow.
Michael Strahan.
What did you?
Who? Wait. Who? What company?
What is this space, or is this like that fucking Red Bull?
He was sitting with Bezos.
It has to be Musk.
Oh,
it's got to be Musk, but he was sitting with Bezos.
They're gonna launch him up.
I'm actually really glad we're talking about Musk because we should. Let's expand from all the bullshit country politics.
By the way, Chuey,
let's go to global. Let's go to global unification and what we can do to get off our planet because we fucked it.
Oh, we did.
So where are we gonna go from here?
Did you guys hear about this a few months ago? They sent the first civilian launch to space. Musk did that.
Wait, really?
Yeah. It was some billionaire.
Did you know about that?
No, it's not.
Yeah, it was some billionaire hit up Musk and was like, "What's this idea?" Because Musk's idea is to be able to send people to space and like commercially. And he hit him up. He's like, "Hey, dog, I'll buy the whole motherfucking rocket, and it's just let me pick the civilians that I want to go, and let's do it." And they did it. It was the billionaire. It was some teacher that's like super supportive, and a couple other cats. Dude, they sent him there.
Yeah. I want to know about Strahan going to space.
Or has it not happened yet?
You kind of set that one on a fucking direction.
Well, no, it's a big deal, and
it is, dude. I'm all for.
So this is what I think that is most impressive. Not only are they sending him to space, but he's going to be back to commentate on Sunday, the next day. So, like, imagine going to space.
It sounds like one of those deals where they're not necessarily sending him to space, though. Like, you know how they had that Red Bull New Year's jump and shit like that?
Yeah.
They just kind of put them in, like, the lower stratosphere.
Well, those civilians, I'm pretty sure, went to the International Space Center and back.
Where are y'all getting this information? Because I'm a fucking astro fucking nerd.
Put it in civilians to space, Tesla, or not Tesla, Musk.
Well, this is what I know. What do I have to do to get up there?
Dude, I've actually said it on the podcast.
Like, let's make it happen.
Top goal on my bucket list of all time. Step foot on another planet.
It could be in our realm of existence, or our lifetime.
It could. We're sending fucking missions to Mars and stuff like that, and that's another planet. And fucking bro, and fucking people are always like, well, would you just throw your life away like that? And I was like, to have the opportunity to step foot on another planet.
At that point, you'd be a Martian.
Yeah. That would be so dope. Can you imagine? Can you imagine?
No, I
just
can't.
taking fucking another step onto it. And then fucking like thousands of years from now, that'll just be normal to people.
I'm here for it. I think it's sooner than we think.
The idea is to help with the Earth's population. Like we can go populate another world.
That's the whole thing with like space exploration and stuff, is to look at what we've done to our own planet and seeing like what's going on and seeing if we can go to another place and fucking make it better so we can fucking evolve from there or whatever.
It would be all indoors though. I don't know. I couldn't do it myself. I love the trees.
I'd do it
too much.
I'd do it in a second.
Yeah, actually, this brings up. So back in 2010, there was a project. Some of you guys may know about it. It was called Mars One, right? And it was incredibly underfunded, and it was much more imagination and dream than actual anything backing it. But the whole idea was it was the first civilian planned project to send people to Mars. Back in 2010, it was before I had my son. I was lacking direction. I had just had a big injury to my knee. I was.
Is this when you thought about joining the Navy?
Yeah, it was right around that time. Yeah, so I was kicked off the football team at Austin Peay. I thought I was going to be a professional football player, so then that was gone. So I was like, you know what? Fuck it. I've always wanted to go to space. But Mars One was the original thing where they were going to send civilians to space, and I sent in an application. But yeah, anyway, would you guys go to be the first people to colonize the planet?
That's what we were just talking about.
Yeah,
I do it in a second.
Yeah,
even
right now. Even right now.
I'll kill myself to go stay on a fucking planet.
To Mars, bro.
I've told it on the fucking podcast before. My biggest bucket list is to step foot on another planet.
Sure.
Fuck the repercussions.
Life wouldn't be easy out there. It'd be a whole thing.
Right.
I couldn't do it, dude. I love planets. Religiously speaking, in my opinion, Mother Earth is my God. Right. And I understand, like, you know, there's so many different things you say, but like, well, if a person deeply believes something, that is their reality.
Perception.
If you believe deeply, like, I'm gonna die and go to heaven, bro, you probably are, because you're gonna die and that's what you believe. Maybe, you know,
depends on what consciousness does after. But yeah, I get what you're saying.
But I truly believe Mother Earth is my God, because she's provided everything for everything.
Sure.
You know,
and we treat her like shit.
Do you understand?
Come here, bitch.
You ever? Do you know the panpsychism? You ever heard of that?
Negative.
So panpsychism is the idea that it's an expanded idea that every piece of matter has a sentient consciousness, right?
Okay.
So, but blown up to a degree, like, so for example,
you lose there, Chuey?
every celestial body, so Earth, Mars, Mercury, all of them have their own consciousness, right? So if you were to believe in that, for example, right, like say Mother Earth is your God, right? Why couldn't another celestial body be, is what I'm saying, right? So like say, for example, Mother Earth is going through a great, even though right now we're struggling, right? Mother Earth has been coming through a great up period in her time, right? She's thriving, everything's growing on her. But what if Mars is just the adverse of that, right? What if Mars is struggling right now but can still sustain life, blah, blah, blah. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but it doesn't mean that polytheism isn't...
Panpsychism.
Right, but you're saying... No, well, okay, I'm changing it. What you're saying is so that Mars could also be a god.
Yeah, well...
Is what you're saying. So what I'm saying is polytheism isn't necessarily like...
You said this goes down to like the whole fucking theory that like the universe is conscious and stuff like that.
Sure. Right? Well, it's the theory that everything with a degree of matter has some degree of consciousness.
You know, and I 100% believe in that, and I'll tell you why. Sure. Because of those little, what they call them, water bears, and like even just microbes.
Tardigrades, baby. Tardigrades,
bro. Even just microbes, right? They have a full fucking life, a full fucking life that they do and live, and all these things. Right. So. Of course, every piece of matter has life.
Right.
So,
I think it's more of a level of not life, but consciousness.
Well, it also comes down to what's your criteria.
Defining life. Yes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, if your description of life or your criteria of life is simply the ability to survive and procreate, then, I mean, that's a line that you got to go real far back to define.
Well, I think that's what you're saying, though. Any piece of matter has life. That's what you're talking about. Sure. Anything that can exist, because every single piece has atoms and molecules that do live and can die.
Carbon, baby.
Right. So
fucking carbon.
So I think you kind of.
Carbon.
I think it almost kind of like proves what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Right. Everything does have life.
Sure.
And
well, these are things that fucking we really don't know. And probably won't know any time in our lifetimes and stuff like that.
One of my
It's shit that makes me fucking ponder and keeps me up at night.
Right.
It doesn't. See, that's the thing. I used to do that in high school, and that was like a big cause of like my depression. It's like everything means nothing,
That's nihilism right there.
right?
I mean,
Well, it
does shit really mean anything?
Disregarding that, I fucking lost my train of thought. If everything means nothing, and you have this gift of life to where you can have meaning to things, bro, then hold that. Like that is the meaning of life. Just having it.
I always tell people the meaning of life is to give life meaning.
Sure.
Because
like
you
that.
are you are living your fucking life, so give it fucking meaning. Does it mean anything to anybody else? Right. No, it doesn't. I'm just being real. Right. It fucking doesn't. But if it means something to you, and it's something that helps you sleep at night, and it's something that gets you through the fucking day.
Well, that's what's so cool about humans.
To a degree, though, if I may touch on that, though, like the whole idea behind how insignificant we are, which I love that thought. It's actually something that brought me a great degree of peace in my younger years when
I
a lot of
used
things were
to
tough.
freak out about it.
Well,
Used to like
me too,
mind racing, heart
It-
pumping through the fucking chest. Like, dude, what are we?
It used to really give me comfort just realizing how insignificant my choices were in the grand scheme, because I understood just how small we were.
But did that
on
give you a
spacious-
sense of irresponsibility? Like I don't have to be responsible for things?
Sure, that's where it could go, right? That's where it could go, because then it's like, well, I could do anything. What does it matter? But actually, that's where you get into chaos theory. And the fact is every decision you make does have an impact. How small it may be, whatever. But every decision you make has an impact. And that's why it's important to make good decisions. And that's what I try to teach people is, though I don't believe in destiny, I don't believe in any of that shit, it's important to make good decisions because the things that you do and say have a ripple effect into the world.
100%.
And it does have an impact on people you may know or may not know. And it could impact how they make decisions. And that's why it's important to step with mindfulness.